We are so excited. We've
Yes.
got Erik Stabnau, who is the band leader with the legendary Glenn Miller
So
Orchestra.
excited.
Hey,
Yes.
Erik, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
Doing great. So
Good.
so glad that you've joined us on Swanky Southern Nights. We love that music, and obviously you're right there in the thick of it. I mean, how long have you been the band leader with the Glenn Miller Orchestra?
Yeah, I've been the band leader since 2021. That's kind of when the band got restarted after COVID. We were off the road for a little while, as you can
Right.
imagine. But I've played with the group since June of 2017. That's when I joined
Oh
as a
wow,
tenor saxophonist, and
nice.
then eventually moved into the music director role in 2021.
That's awesome. So, did you? We love backstories here on Swanky Southern Nights. So, Erik, did you grow up listening to the music of Glenn Miller Orchestra and that type of music?
Yeah, I always liked big band music, and I always liked jazz music growing up. And as a saxophone player, I was kind of drawn to that kind of music in particular. So of course I was familiar with Glenn Miller,
Yeah.
and it was only when I was in college that I realized this band was still touring. And
Yes.
shortly after I graduated is when I ended up joining the band.
Yeah. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Rochester, New York.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that explains the number on my telephone.
There you go.
Yep.
That's awesome. But you guys are traveling all over the country now, right? Just you're everywhere.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, the band maintains a very busy tour schedule. It's really a full-time thing. The band is on tour just about the whole year round. So I like to tell audiences a typical year with this band sometimes includes as many as 200 or more shows.
Wow.
And that's all around the country, and there's international dates as well. So typically we'll go on tour for a couple months at a time,
Yeah.
and then we'll have a couple weeks off, and then we're on tour for a couple months, and then we have a couple weeks off. So
Yeah.
we're on our way to Lexington, Kentucky right now.
That's
Nice.
terrific. I
Yes,
love it.
it
we
is.
we this is such a perfect fit for our show.
It really is. It sure is.
Yeah, we love it.
Hey, so Erik, I have to ask you because we don't know the answer to this question. Literally, we don't know. So, How is the continuation of the Glenn Miller Orchestra? How did that even begin again, or did it even stop and begin again? Take us through that. Navigate us through this a little bit. How did that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you the short answer and the long answer.
Okay.
So this band, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, is more or less a continuation of the original band that was formed by Glenn Miller, and that was in 1938. But to kind of walk through like step by step. So of course, Glenn Miller led his band from the late 30s into the early 40s, and he even joined the military during that time during World War II and led a different band in the military. So if you know the story, Glenn disappeared in December of 1944.
Yes.
His flight went down over the English Channel. But the Glenn Miller Orchestra, under that name, continued touring after his disappearance. And there was a band member named Tex Beneke, a saxophone player that led the band at that time. So I guess that's maybe the earliest you could kind of point to the Glenn Miller Orchestra under the direction of someone else. And it kind of fizzled out a little bit after World War II, but we point to 1956 is the year that the band was sort of officially reformed.
Okay.
And that was because the movie The Glenn Miller Story came out just a couple of years earlier.
Yes.
That starred Jimmy Stewart as Glenn Miller, and that
Yes.
kind of renewed audience interest in this music. So since 1956, it has been nonstop on the road ever since. You know, there's a couple of years off after World War II, a couple of years off during the pandemic, but otherwise it's been nonstop that whole time.
Awesome.
That's
So
terrific.
I have to ask you. So were any of the original players and any of the original musicians in the band up to a certain point, or
Yeah,
for a while?
there were original members or musicians that had played with Glenn Miller that were involved with this band. At least into the 60s.
Wow.
I couldn't give you any exact dates
Yeah.
necessarily, but I mentioned Tex Beneke, the tenor
Yes.
saxophonist, led the band for a while, and Glenn Miller's drummer named Ray McKinley led the band in the 50s and 60s. And yeah, so there was involvement with the musicians that he had originally worked with, at least for a couple of decades beyond.
Yeah. That's so cool. Now, do you guys? I've heard some recordings. Now, I know you guys are out doing live dates all the time, so it's probably hard to gather everybody for recording sessions unless you're recording something live, I guess. But are there some recordings that are out there available of maybe something that you've got right now going, or last couple of years?
Yeah, we still record from time to time. So the band recorded a live album last year, and that was in Las Vegas. It was kind of just like the
Nice.
live show straight through with the instrumentals and the vocals and all that stuff.
Nice.
We recorded an album with strings a couple years ago that was actually recorded in Nashville.
Really?
And it featured, the Glenn Miller Orchestra and a whole like symphony string section, and we played a lot of the music of the World War II era.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
That's great. I definitely want to find out. Now, what's the best way to find that for our listeners? How can you find that?
Yeah, that's a great question. It has a bit of a long title, so I should try to get this right.
Okay.
But I think it's something along the lines of like Glenn Miller Orchestra 80th anniversary of the Army Air Forces Band.
Wow.
And the Army Air Forces was that period when Glenn served in the military and led a band during that time. So at that point, he had your typical big band instrumentation, plus he had that whole string section as well. So I think it's something along the lines of Glenn Miller Orchestra 80th anniversary of the Army Air Force Band.
Wow. That sounds exciting.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And y'all are going to be in the Nashville area soon at Franklin Theater.
Yes.
December 10th and
Yes.
11th, the Glenn Miller Orchestra at Franklin Theater, and that's going to be a great show. It's a wonderful venue, and you guys are just going to love it. And I don't know, do you remember if you've been there before?
We have actually, quite a bit. Maybe not quite annually, but every couple of years the band has been there, and it's it's a great fit for the group, and we
Nice.
enjoy it a lot.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, we just love it, and we're going to be playing a lot of Glenn Miller Orchestra music on the show tonight.
That's right.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now you've also got vocalists. Our friend Julia Rich had been a vocalist with Glenn Miller Orchestra, and we know that you've got a vocalist as part of your show as well. How does that work? How many vocalists are also involved in the show?
Yeah, there's two. I guess you could say two featured vocalists. I sing the traditionally male vocals, and we've got a great gal singer named Jenny Swish who sings the traditional female vocals.
Nice.
And that'll make up maybe about a third of the concert is kind of those featured vocals. And then we also have a vocal group that includes some members of the band singing backup harmonies.
Nice.
And we'll do a couple vocal group songs. I'm sure fans might recognize some of the titles like Chattanooga Choo Choo. or
Philadelphia
Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree.
65000, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Awesome.
Yep. So I would say almost half the concert is probably vocals in some capacity, and the other half is instrumentals.
Awesome. That sounds so good. Sounds good. And listen, for all of our listeners out there, definitely make plans to go to Franklin Theater and see Glenn Miller Orchestra. The history just continually being carried forward with Erik Stabnau and all these great players. So you want to check that out. Get tickets for December 10th and 11th at Franklin Theater.
I want to go.
Yeah, me too.
We need to be there.
Yes, it's going to be great.
Yeah, I should mention too. In December, we do sort of a special holiday show, Christmas show, and it'll include all of Glenn Miller's big hits, non-Christmas songs, of course.
Yeah.
It includes all the big hits. But in the 90s, this band recorded a couple Christmas albums. So we'll also include maybe about half the show is Christmas and holiday songs.
That is so
Very
cool.
good.
Love that. Love that so much. Well, Erik, is there anything else that you would like to tell our listeners? Whoops, I think somebody FaceTimed here. Hold on.
There we go. You're good.
There we go. There we go. We started to FaceTime there. Okay. Are you there?
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. Anything else specific that you would like to tell our listeners? Anything about the Glenn Miller Orchestra and the work that you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, sure. I'd just like to add at the end of these conversations that if someone's on the fence about coming to the show, thinking about coming to the show, I'd say give it a shot, and you won't be disappointed. There really is something for everybody at these shows. I mentioned instrumentals and the vocals. There's also a bit of history. I'll kind of host the show or MC the show. So between songs, we'll talk a little bit about the history of the band.
Nice.
And, there's some choreography on stage. And it's just kind of a unique thing to be able to hear this music at this point, 80 years later. So I'd say give it a shot, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow. That sounds
It's
fun.
purely, it is truly timeless.
Yeah.
It is. And just so glad that you guys are carrying on that great tradition of that wonderful music of Glenn Miller. So thank you, Erik Stabnau. We appreciate you being part of Swanky Southern Nights.
Thank you, Eric.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.